March segment of the Kelly Hill Ross Show. March is Women's History Month. This year the theme is For Women, Providing Healing and Promoting Hope. Brigadier General Janine Birckhead, commander of the 52nd Maryland Army National Guard, will inspire us, telling us how she managed to achieve the rank of Brigadier General in the Maryland Army National Guard. We also spoke to Author Michelle Petties, who provides healing hope for women and people in general who are trying to figure out the secret to losing weight and keeping it off. We have Black Facts by Aiden Matthew Talley and a repeat of the cooking segment with Avery Talley, just in case you missed it last month. So sit down and relax, get your cup of coffee, tea, or your favorite beverage, and enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Aiden Talley. In 1951, Bessie invented an electronic feeding device, which was controlled by the bite of the individual. Once the person bit down on the tube, the device would deliver a mouthful of food. And that's your Black Facts of the month.
I want to say welcome to the Kelly Hill Ross Show, and thank you so much. One thing I did want to say is that you are an inspiration. You're a role model for so many Black women, young girls, and just people in general, because you have reached such a milestone in your career, and you've done so much. How does that make you feel?
Well, a feeling question, when you say, how does it make you feel? I always have to go back to my oldest, what a feeling word, really a feeling word. And I will say that proud, I will say proud is one of those feeling words. And then with all the things you talked about, it runs the gamut. So I'm always proud. But I have to tell you, sometimes it's sad, it's mad, it's angry, it runs the gamut, but for certainly proud, very proud.
I just have to read over a couple things. First of all, I read in the U.S. Veterans Magazine that there were only 63 female admirals, and that was back in 2018. So you're really special. And then also, I was just looking over your accomplishments. You're the commander of the 52nd Maryland Army National Guard. Is that correct?
I am the commander of the Maryland Army National Guard. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you also served as the director of legislative affairs to the Maryland National Guard. You are, at one point back in 2011, you were deployed as the Deputy Current Operations Security, partnering with the International Security Assistance Force for Kabul, Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. You have many decorations, including the Legion of Merit, Defense Meritorious Service Medal. You have so many mentions here, and in your capacity, you were also the senior advisor in the office of the special trustee for American Indians at the Department of the Interior in Washington, D.C. And now you are head of the COVID-19 task force.
The mission of the Vaccine Equity Task Force is to ensure equitable distribution of the vaccine across Maryland. The task force has and will continue to focus on education in different communities, bringing materials in different languages, having trusted voices go out and have conversations with people on the street, and using different tools to communicate the importance of taking the vaccine. We are also using mobile vaccine units to travel into underserved communities to give the vaccine. I'm really excited about the Vaccine Equity Task Force. We're working towards community immunity by bringing the vaccine to people where they are. I expect that the task force will actually have a long-lasting impact on health and health equity across the state. And that's getting into communities that we haven't been into before and building trust in those communities so that if we ever have anything like this again, we've already got trusted partners and trusted voices that we can reach out very quickly and help the community to get a vaccine out or to address other health equity issues. I would say to people who are hesitant to get the vaccine or want to wait, that they need to get the vaccine not for themselves but for others. This is the only way the community can get back to normal. When I thought about taking the vaccine, I thought about my 80-plus-year-old mother who I hadn't seen in weeks, and that's somebody I talk to daily. I thought about my children who have to stay at home and go to school. So what impact has it had? It's had a serious impact, and an impact that we will feel for many years. And the only way to overcome that is to trust in the professionals who have created the vaccine. Take the vaccine when it's your time. Wash your hands, wear your mask, and social distance. If you don't have internet access and you need assistance scheduling an appointment, call 1-855-MD-GO-VAX. Go Vax. Let's end COVID, Maryland.
I just, how did you, we'll start with, first of all, you have 2 master's degrees and you have kids. So you've got the family going on, the education. Let's start with getting those 2 master's degrees. What did it take to achieve that?
So one of the things I like to talk about is having a plan. And when I finished Hampton, that's where I went undergrad, Hampton University, HBCU. And what am I going to do? I had a job lined up and I knew I was going to work on the Hill. And I thought immediately my plan is to go and get this master's, because I felt that if I put it off, then family and life would get in the way. So part of my plan was to find my way to DC, get settled into my new home, get on the job, and very quickly pivot to working on that master's so that I could get it out of the way. And that's what I did. And that was a good choice to do, because I was still in the mindset of studying in school and learning new and having not to build that memory again, what it takes to study, you know what I mean, once you've stepped away from it for a while. So that was the plan there. And then part of being an Army officer is professional education. We in the Army and in the services throughout tout your education as very important to your career. So I knew that War College, or one of the War Colleges, one of those would be something in my future. So the War College confers a degree, a master's degree in strategic studies when you finish that. So that was another, that was part of the journey to making it to be a senior leader, a colonel in the Army, was to make sure I finished senior service college, and that was the War College.
The Army War College, established in 1901 by then Secretary of War Elihu Root, was established not to promote war but preserve peace.
Strategic leadership is critical, and I think the Army War College really prepares us to be strategic leaders. And the Army War College prepares us to assess those environments and to make judgments and to hopefully make better decisions.
Coming here, what I truly realized was there are some incredibly smart people out there. They bring a sense to the seminar. They bring a different angle that I've never really looked at before. And every day I come out and I'll go home and tell my wife, I can't believe some of the stuff I learned today, because I'd never looked at it quite that way.
More than 1,000 strategic practitioners, military officers from all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, Government civilians and senior international military officers graduate from the school inspired by strategic leaders and educated by strategic theorists, armed with the knowledge and expertise gained from the school's resident and distance education programs.
I think the year at the Army War College has been absolutely essential to my transition from being that field grade officer running a battalion to being a future strategic leader in the United States Army. I think a lot of what I learned is because I listened to others. There's a huge range of backgrounds, brings a huge range of ideas that I don't think one would get in too many other places.
Their educational experience is enriched by the perspective of the international students who study and learn with them. The senior military officers from allied and friendly countries bring their perspectives to the table, enhancing the Army War College experience.
Well, I also understand that your mother had some wisdom words for you about making a plan having a backup plan in case the plan doesn't work.
Exactly.
Tell me
Exactly.
a little bit about that, how inspirational that was to you.
Absolutely. It was very inspirational because the plan for her was that definitely she wanted me really to go to Hampton. So that was part of the plan. And then how were we going to pay for it? And she was really the reason and the inspiration behind the ROTC scholarship, Army ROTC scholarship. And I would encourage young people to look into that. So ROTC scholarship was a plan, and then applying for as many scholarships as possible. So that was a plan. And we stuck very closely to that plan. But throughout my career, at home and the way I grew up, it was to have a plan and to execute that plan. And when it didn't work, no worries. Don't be sad. Don't cry, because you've got another plan, right? So we just need to pivot, and we need to work this plan. And that's how she lived her life, really, is having a plan and growing up in poverty herself, but having a plan to be a homeowner and to have kids who would attend college. And so she set out to put her plan in place. And it's interesting because her plan took her into politics. She was an orphans court judge on the Eastern Shore. One of the first Black elected officials to be elected at large the way she was. That was certainly a game changer. And having served on city council for so long, so certainly the plan initially was like, I'm just gonna get into government a little bit, and then just watching her do that, she's like, well, I think I can do this too. So certainly her plan and her tenacity at getting those things done in her life were an inspiration to me.
And you also, under your command, you were deployed to go over to the nation's capital for the insurrection. What was that like?
Yeah, that was really surreal. I have to tell you, spent so much time on the Hill. That was coming out of college. My first job was in the Senate, and I was a page in high school. So I knew the Capitol grounds very well, like the back of my hand. I know that place very well. And I spent a lot of time there. And then to be back to see the fencing up, and also I have to say, in my civilian capacity, I work in DC every day. And then to see the Hill lockdown, fencing going up, concertina wire, it was really surreal. And then you bring in soldiers from all the states and territories to support the mission. Hopefully we'll not have anything like that again, but the performance of the soldiers and airmen who stood on that line, they were just phenomenal in the face of not knowing, what's going to happen. Just all of a sudden they picked up and they came, and some of them didn't even bring cold weather gear. They just came as they were, and they're just standing in the line. So it was a moment of being proud for the organization that I'm part of, to know that we have professionals that we come from anywhere, we speak the same language, and go, this is what we're going to do, and we can plan. And then having those professionals that maybe in their full-time capacity, like myself, we do something else, but we bring those skills to our job there. That also helped as a force multiplier to ensure that our success on the Hill. So I was very proud of the team. learned a lot, of course. You know, you talk every challenge, there's some learning in that. There was a lot of learning in that. But certainly I felt that I was the right person at the right time, given my skill set in the having worked on the Hill and worked with those legislators, and also knowing the territory, knowing the ground intimately, I certainly think helped my success.
I will share this with you. This being brand new, right? Being brand new and having a brand new take is about the results you want to see in your life, right? It's getting from where you are to where you want to be. Looking brand new, feeling brand new, having a brand new attitude. And for me, it started in my closet. It started in my closet 3 years ago as when I lost weight for the final time, and I wanted to be connected. I wanted to decide how I wanted to show up and how I wanted to feel. And I wanted how I looked on the outside to match what I knew what was happening on the inside. And clothes became really important to me, and they still are, right? They still are, which is why we do this from the cabbie closet. Because everybody has a goal. You have to have a reason. You have to have a reason why. And if you're looking to make some changes, right, make some changes in your body, for some people, for some people, you don't have diabetes. I didn't have diabetes. I didn't have high blood pressure. But I had to find a reason to get in touch with myself. I had to find a reason to get in touch with who I really am, right? Because my body, right? My body was masking it. I was trying to find who I was in food, and you don't find who you are in food, right? You find who you are in relationship. You find who you are and how you have relationships with other people, because we manage food. We manage food. We don't have a relationship with food. And as long as we think we can have a relationship with food, we're going to be trapped. And we're about some freedom tonight, right? We're about some freedom.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for coming on the Kelly Hill Ross Show. You have a story to tell. And what I want you to do is just tell us your story, because it's phenomenal.
Oh, Kelly, thank you so much for having me on. I'm grateful. I'm grateful and appreciative just to be able to have this conversation with you. And, I feel like, my story is certainly unique to me, but my story is not unique to me. And the reason that I say that is that I used to be overweight. I used to be obese. And for 40 years, I struggled with that. I struggled with being overstressed, overfed, and then finally I just got over it. I got over it and figured out how to quiet this battle that went on inside of me for so long, this battle between my mind, body, and food that so many women also struggle with. And getting that under control has given me some peace and some freedom and some power.
So when did all of this start?
When did this getting control of it start?
Or what is, I would say, what is the what started you maybe as a young child? Were you obese, or at that time it was one of those things where you had to eat everything off of your plate? So over the years it's like, I gotta eat everything on my plate.
Right. Yeah, this how we manage food is a very complex thing, right? And I was a chubby kid. I was a big kid. And many times I found myself the biggest kid in the room. And as I moved throughout my adult years and through my career for many years, I continued to find myself being the biggest person in the room. And that does something to you. Over time that just shifts how you think and how you feel about yourself. And I struggled with that. Until I finally got some peace around it and learned how to get control of it. And for years, Kelly, I did every diet out there, right? I went to hypnosis. I did hypnosis. I did clinical trials. I did high protein. I had surgery, right? And phentermine, fen-phen, all of the drugs that were out there, high protein, low carb, all of that. And I was good at losing weight, right? That's how I could that's how I could gain and lose 700 pounds over the course of my lifetime, because I could lose it, right? I could be self-controlled and self-disciplined and follow the plan and lose it, but I would, like so many, gain it back. And the reason I would gain it back is because I did not fundamentally change what I believed about the food. I didn't make the connection.
Okay.
And so I would be a size, 26, 24, get down to a size 14, black woman's 10,
Right? Yeah, you're right.
get down to a size 14.
Yeah, that's true.
And gain it back. Because in my head, I was still a size 26.
Okay.
I was still a size 26, even though I had struggled to get to that size. And in 2018, after having liposuction, and which I felt like, man, if I could just see, if I could see myself looking a little differently, if I could see myself looking, I could maintain it. And I did for a little while, but then the whole thing started to come back. And I was like, I can't continue to do this. And I went to a doctor that I had been seeing, because I was going for some toning, and I was trying to get her to freeze it off. I was trying to get her to melt it off. I was trying to do all sorts of stuff to try to like maintain it. And I had been there on occasion, and she said, I have a program that I think that could work for you. And I'm like, no, I just want the toning. I just do the toning for me. I'll be fine. And I went to a conference. I went to a work conference. And in the space of what it seemed like 5 minutes, I ate 5 slices of pizza. Wow. It probably wasn't 5 minutes. It probably longer than that. But it was way too much pizza.
5 slices.
5 slices. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I looked at that pizza, and I thought, I cannot do this any longer. There's something wrong. There's something. So I go to this doctor. And she sees me right away because she sees I'm in distress. I'm like, you have got to help me. But I had been to doctors before, right? I had been to doctors before. I had lost it before. But I prayed that this time had to be different. I was like, what am I missing? I am missing something. God help me, right? God help me. And the doctor came out, and she said, look, I have a program for you. Understand, I've been on programs before. But you follow this program. It was a low-calorie program. You take these shots. They were hormone shots, appetite suppressant. And she said to me, follow this plan and you will not be hungry. Bet I got that. I'll follow it. I will. Okay. And so she gave me a piece of paper, off with you, right? And I followed the plan. And I wasn't hungry. And I lost weight.
Okay.
But I found that there were times when I still wanted to eat. Now, this doctor has told me, follow this plan. You're not going to be hungry, right? You're not going to be hungry, just follow the plan. And I sat with that. I'm like, I know I'm not hungry, right? I know I'm not hungry because she told me I'm not going to be hungry. I don't feel hungry, but why do I still want to eat? And I sat with that, and I sat with it because remember, I prayed, what is going on? And this is a story that bubbled up. And this is a story that started the book. And this is how I came up with the food story concept. Here's a story that bubbled up. I'm from the South. I'm from the country South, right? Okay. I'm from the country South. Okay. And years ago, I was on my uncle's farm, and my uncle was probably 75 years old. He wasn't quite 80, but he wasn't 60, he was in his 70s. And we were on his farm, cookout, barbecue, having watermelon, right? Black people in watermelon, who knew? But that's what we were having. That's what we were having. And so I said, Billy, you want some watermelon? He said, no, I don't eat watermelon. Right. That's what I said.
Right. Everybody, we all eat watermelon.
Right. But clear, he said, I don't eat it. He didn't say I don't want it. He didn't say I don't like it. He said I don't eat it. And like, what do you mean you don't eat it? You don't do it what? You don't, does that mean you don't want it right now? Do you want it later? And he was like, I just don't eat it. Well, I mean, you just can't tell me that. You have to give me you have to explain that to me.
Right, either you don't like it. Right.
And so he finally broke down and told me that when he was a kid, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, he and some buddies stole a watermelon from a neighbor's yard. And my grandfather, his father, found out about it. 2 things about my grandfather. My grandfather was a railroad worker, and my grandfather was a church trustee. The one person, a 6-year-old that just stole a watermelon, does not want to meet is a father who's a church trustee and a railroad worker.
Ooh. Okay.
So he proceeded to beat my uncle. Beat my uncle severely. And when he told me that story, I'm probably 30 years ago, it just sat with me. I didn't know then that I would be that it would be the source of my transformation now. But that story sat with me, and I said, well, Billy, do you think maybe the lesson was supposed to be thou shalt not steal? My uncle looked at me and said, I don't eat watermelon. And I said, okay, right. So as I am in my struggle, that story bubbled up. And when that story bubbled up, I said, oh my God, this is it. This is it. This is the answer. And the answer is, my uncle's experience around that food was so painful, so traumatic, so severe, that he never ate it. From the point that he had that whipping until he died, he never had a food he clearly loved. And I said, oh my God, the flip must be true. That's where our cravings come from. That we have these associations around food that are so beautiful, so wonderful, so comforting, so pleasurable, that we want to keep reliving them. And it is not necessarily the food we want. We want the experience. We want the event. We want the memory. But we think it's the food because the food is so closely aligned with it.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
And when I made that breakthrough, I could understand why, even though I was still full, why I wanted to eat. When I would see a certain food, it wasn't that I wanted the food, I wanted the pleasure that it represented. So we that were struggling, not just me, when I say we, I'm talking about me and everybody else, right? That when we find ourselves eating when we're not hungry, it is because that food represents something to us that we want at the time. It may be status, right? It could be the fact that somebody else is having some pleasure that we're not having. Oh, what's that on your plate? That looks good. I should have gotten that. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I'm eating out of jealousy. No one says that I eat out of jealousy, but people do.
Okay.
It's when people say that I'm a stress eater, right? Typically what they'll say, oh, I'm an emotional eater, I'm a stress eater, right? But what on earth does that mean?
Right.
What does that mean? It doesn't happen, oh, I'm angry, I think I'll eat a dozen donuts. But it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
You feel the thing. You feel the stress, you feel the discomfort, you feel the anger, or you feel the happiness, you feel the whatever. And this twinge happens in your stomach. And that twinge is associated with the food, and then you want the food, and you misidentify that twinge as hunger.
Wow. So that brings us to the book, Leaving Large. Tell me about your book that you've written.
Stories of the Food Addict, yeah. So this book, I have had people buy this book and then call me or email me or message me and tell me that they're going to buy it for their friends, that they read my stories and they see themselves. And that's why I think I said earlier, it's my story, but it's not just my story, it's the story of so many other women. And it's everything is connected to what we believe about food, and the very early memories that we associate with food, that we still keep making those associations that drive how we manage it now. And you said it earlier when we were talking about cleaning your plate, right? You're let's say you're struggling, right? You're on a diet, you're on some program that says just eat until you're full, right? Eat until you're full.
Yeah.
Or you go someplace like, I don't know, Cheesecake Factory, I'm not dropping any names, and they serve you this big plate of food.
And if you've been taught to clear your plate, and they say, well, you know, when I was younger back in the day, we had to eat whatever was on the plate.
Absolutely.
So you have developed that habit.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the story that's driving how you deal with that plate. Even though you have picked up a program or diet program, that's why diets don't work. Because I try to do it, but then I can't do it because I've got this story that I haven't unpacked that's making me fight the diet. So we have to, once you rewrite your stories, and that's what's so beautiful, once we identify our stories, we can rewrite them. That's a story. Stories can be the truth or they don't have to be the truth. right? All they are is stories. I have done this I don't know how many times. I go to a party, somebody will ask me what I do, and I write food stories. And what is this all about? I say, okay, here, let's take this. I say there's a bowl of rice. Tell me what you think of when I tell you talk about this bowl of rice. If there are 10 people at that table, they will have 10 different recollections about how you eat rice. But it's all the same food. It's rice. It's just rice. But everybody, oh, we put butter on our rice. Oh, you put butter on our rice. Well, we put sugar on our rice. Oh, we put milk in our rice. You put milk. We only have it for dinner. Or we have it for breakfast. Or we eat rice 3 times a day. 3 times a day. But it's still rice. Everybody has a different story. But everybody has the capacity to change that story about rice once they recognize this belief, this thing that they have about it is driving their behavior. So once we unpack that, oh, going out to brunch is just food. Is just food. Food is nutrition and nourishment. But if it becomes a status symbol, and you're starved for that, and that means something to you, then you find yourself going out to brunch, which I did. Anybody say brunch, I'm there. Oh, okay, I'll meet you for brunch in the morning, and I'll meet you for brunch in the afternoon, right? It wasn't that I was hungry, right? But I wanted the socialness of it. I wanted to be able to say it, so that's the story. So we need to break these stories apart. And when you find out your food story, it allows you to break the pattern, and then you can develop a healthy habit and learn to manage food in a way that really serves how you want to look and how you want to feel and how you want to show up.
Now, on page 75, Food Story 8, The Flavor of Friendship. What's that all about?
Oh my gosh! All right. I think this is probably one of my favorite stories. So my favorite food, hands down, is Mexican food.
Okay.
Right? And in the book, I say that I could eat Mexican food 7 days a week and twice on Sunday, which in many cases I did for many years. But as I started to really unpack this thing that I had about Mexican food, because you think about Mexican food, right? It's chips, right? Chips and salsa, all right? It's guacamole, it's nachos and cheese, and it's all. You can walk out of a Mexican food meal and consume 5,000 calories. I mean, at least I could, you know. Right. Back in the day, I could. Back in the day, I could. And what this story is about my college roommate and I. We built our friendship over Mexican food. And it started in the dorm. We bonded because we were watching General Hospital, and neither one of us cared for Monica. And so we were on there, right? And she had a car. And she was from Chicago, big city. Big city. I'm from that country bumpkin town. And so she says, well, let's go out to dinner. Okay, let's go out to dinner. She had a car, and we were driving, and we just landed in a Mexican food parking lot. And we go in there, and we start talking, and we just start sharing big cities, small town stories, and our friendship started to develop. Now we're college kids, right? They bring some chips. We're talking. Would you like some more chips? Yeah, sure. Right? We're finished with. Would you like some more chips? Yeah. We're sitting, and so we're eating and chipping. We're eating and chipping, and that became what we did in college. That's how our friendship was born in a Mexican restaurant. And as I started to think about why is this? Why do I always want Mexican food? And it came to me, and it bubbled up that it's not like I was consciously thinking, oh, Mexican food restaurant, this is where B and I became friends. It's just that I see a Mexican food restaurant and I feel that, right? That friendship washes over me. And so every time I'm walking in a Mexican food restaurant, that I go back to that in my subconscious mind.
Okay.
And so the association around Mexican food had everything to do with this friendship. So that's how the story, that's the net of the story, but here's the other piece of it, is that she came to visit. She came to visit from Texas while I was writing the book, and it was when COVID was starting, right? And we were all masked up, and we didn't go have Mexican food at all.
Oh,
We didn't go
okay.
have, because the times did not allow it. We talked about it. We said, remember when we used to, but the friendship was still the friendship. The friendship was still everything that it had always meant. And now I can go to a Mexican food restaurant and enjoy it, and not be a slave to chips, not be a slave to anything, right? Because I understand the connection.
Yeah.
I understand what it means.
So now today you are having a book signing.
Yes.
And we are at
We're at the Style Lounge. Thank you, Tamika Chapman. Thank you, Tamika Chapman, 1734 Maryland Avenue in Baltimore. And part of the reason that we're here is that as I started this journey, I told you about going to the doctor's office and all that, and my story about my uncle. But the other thing that kept me motivated and still keeps me motivated was that I would go to my closet on Monday mornings. I have 5 sizes of clothes in my closet that I could not wear. And the 3 things I could wear, right, were either too tight, too small, unflattering. And so I'm mad every Monday morning because I'm looking at this closet of my potential, of my possibility that I'm not even able to step into. And so that cloud of frustration and disappointment starts my week, starts my day. Until I got clear. And I started to focus on, what do I want to wear? How do I want to look? And once I really started to drill down on how I wanted to look and how I wanted to show up, I stayed in that closet. So I picked out, my motivation is what I call an outfit and an occasion. Motivation. O plus O equals M. Outfit plus occasion. So I put my clothes up, and as soon as something got that much too big, I was out of it. And I moved on to the next smaller garment. And that's what kept me on track, because I was always thinking about, I was never thinking about the food, right? I was never thinking about, am I hungry, am I not hungry, what I'm gonna eat. Once I got to the food story thing, once I decided I wanna wear those pants, I wanna wear those dresses, my choices about food became about how I wanted to look and what I wanted to wear. And so that's what drove what I ate. What I want to wear. Will eating this get me in that dress? No. Will eating this keep me from getting in that dress? Then I'm not having it. Okay. So the closet, and I admittedly I think, oh, this is kind of like a shallow kind of thing, right? But maybe yes, maybe no. And we all have to set goals, right? Well, you have to set a goal. And in order for the goal to be real, it has to be attainable. And it has to have a timeline on it. And that's what I was able to use my closet to do, was to set goals that made sense for my body, and then be able to visualize it and be happy about it and stick to it, right? The goal wasn't just a goal for the goal. I thought about the fact, it's like, once I'm able to wear whatever the thing is, oh, I'm gonna feel so good, right? People are gonna be looking at me. I'm gonna be able to show off. I'm gonna be so happy, right?
Right.
So when I decide I'm not gonna eat French fries, I'm not mad because I'm not eating French fries. I'm happy because I'm thinking about how I'm gonna show up. I'm happy because I'm thinking about how I'm gonna look. I'm happy because I'm thinking about my goal for ourselves. That's the story. The food is just a means to an end. It is just a means to an end, and we have to think about what we want our end to be. Okay,
So now, where do we get a copy of your book?
Oh, thank you. Yes. So it's available on Amazon. You can get the ebook on Amazon. You can also get the hardcover on Amazon. Yeah, it is hardcover. Or you can get an autographed copy on my website, which is leavinglarge.com. And you just order off the website. I'll sign it, send it to you, and you can get it that way. Or ask your library to order it. I want anybody that is ready, anybody that wants to use my stories as a way to uncover their own stories, to be able to get to these stories. And hopefully your story will change your life like mine changed mine.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. a lot of good information, and I'm sure you can go on Amazon, like you said, and get a copy of your book. But thanks so much for being on the show.
The pleasure's been mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope you were inspired, and hopefully after listening to these two powerful women and understanding how they didn't give up, don't forget to hit the subscribe button or look for us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. As I leave you, remember to hold on to what you got until you can get what you want. Courtesy of Joseph B. Kelly. See ya.